Ceann Comhairle, I wish to ask in relation to question number 1 also. And the question there was, Taoiseach, to report on your commitment in the programme for government for Irish water networks. And you did read what the programme for government says, but you didn't answer the question, and I would like you to answer the question. And to repeat, it says that Irish Water will supervise and accelerate the planned investments needed to upgrade the state's inefficient and leaking water network. Now, Taoiseach, will you acknowledge that in 2014, you have dismally failed, and will you recognise and comment on the responses to RTE freedom of information requests, which found, in fact, that the investment in water infrastructure in 2013 and 2014 was the lowest in this state since 1998. That in the years from 2004 to 2012, 430 million a year was invested, but in the first 11 months of 2014, only 300 million had been put in.
Sorry, Deputy, you're straying a bit here. That's not the question that's on the order paper, and I can't, as I said at the outset, I have to be very careful here and fair to all deputies who have had questions disallowed about that type of information that you're seeking. This is purely a matter about a commitment made in the programme for government, and that's it. Yeah,
well, but that's the point.
Not about how much money was spent.
Just let me summarise to ask the Taoiseach if, in fact, you will agree, Taoiseach, that all you have achieved is a massive rejection of water charges by a huge section of the population, a massive alienation of significant sections of the population.
No, we don't go
using the forces of the state.
Sorry, we're not going there.
Against them for peaceful protest.
Yeah, no. I'd ask your help here now, Deputy, and adhere to the chair like the other 2 deputies have. Please, thank you. Well, it's quite clear what the question is, and the question has been answered.
To Taoiseach, the position regarding the commitment in the programme for government in regard to the Irish water networks, and if he will make a statement on the matter.
That is right.
Yeah. And so I was putting to the Taoiseach, summarising a number of the issues that clearly have arisen in response to this aspect of the programme for government.
Well, that's a matter for Irish Water, which you'll have to deal with.
Ah, come on, Ceann Comhairle.
No.
As
ridiculous. I say, I have to be fair to everybody. You know, you're a master at this now, Deputy. I'm with you here a long time, and I know you with the greatest respect. You have to adhere to the ruling of the chair on this issue. You know, the question is quite simple, and it was answered. So we can't stray into other areas that...
Well, it's extraordinary that...
We'll put down a question to the appropriate, or right to the Irish Water,
here's
the information.
We have the very chief of the operation here,
but he's not chief of Irish Water,
the Taoiseach, who has to politically answer for the disaster that Irish Water has become.
He's politically responsible for the setting up of Irish Water, which he's done. That's it.
And so we can't call the Taoiseach to account for commitments in the programme for government.
No, because he's fulfilled
which turned into an unmitigated disaster.
Well, that's a different issue. It's a different issue.
Well, I think it's extremely relevant. Well, maybe will you allow me to ask then if at least the
I allow you to ask the question that you have in the order paper, which is climate change.
In relation to that, if the €100 grant which the Taoiseach referred to, referring to it as a conservation grant, will you agree that marks a new degradation of the English language? What is an attempted political bribe becoming a conservation grant, and that real conservation would be investment, for example, in people retrofitting their homes to save billions of litres of water, changing the planning laws to ensure that water-saving devices are included in every home, which wasn't done scandalously during the 500,000 homes that was built during the bubble. Finally, Taoiseach, Do you recognise reality at all here? And do you realise that in April and May you will face a mass boycott by ordinary people, the decent tax-paying backbone of the system? A mass boycott of water by them. And if you don't listen, this will decide the outcome of the next general election to your and Labour's detriment.
Deputy, you stick to do you want to ask about your question number 3?
Well, I thought you were coming back for a second round.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know...
Well, I'll just...
There are other deputies. We're not going to have a...
Under pressure as well.
All right, OK. Taoiseach, once you're finished...
Ceann Comhairle, the question was to what is the position regarding the commitment in the programme for government, and if I make a statement, and as you said, I've answered that question. I've referred to what was in the programme for government,